What's it called again?
The Book of V, like Vashti.
I read that.
What's it called, Debbie?
The Book
Chat, Debbie.
of V.
The
It's in the
Book of
chat.
V?
Send it to her
Put it in the
direct,
chat,
yeah.
Deb.
Put it in chat.
Yeah.
It's in
All
the
right,
chat.
I'm going
Okay, got it.
to mute
Okay.
everyone.
All right, I'm muted.
Okay, it's lovely to start with a book exchange. I know that we have a lot of very bright women on here who read voraciously, and it's lovely to share those book reviews, those informal book reviews with each other. So before we start today, I just want to say welcome. Hope everybody is well and healthy. And we have a birthday to celebrate, but what's unusual about this birthday is that it's our birthday singer. So I don't think we want her to sing for herself. Is there someone else, like maybe Toby, that you could unmute and we could sing happy birthday to Mimi?
Certainly, it would be my pleasure.
Okay, Mimi, happy birthday, Mimi.
Happy birthday, Mimi.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Mimi. Happy birthday to you. And many more.
Happy birthday, Mimi, to 120.
Love all you guys. You're great. Thank you.
Okay, good. We hope you have a wonderful day and a great year.
Thank you.
After all that singing, you still like us?
I love you.
Rabbi, take it away.
Thank you. Happy birthday, Mimi. And I don't know if Sheila Kaufman's on, but I saw on Facebook earlier, it's her mom's birthday. So happy birthday to her mom. And I've been trying to chat a few people privately, but they haven't responded. I know that some people can't get it depending on what kind of apparatus you have. So I apologize for everyone hearing this chat, but Fran Kane, I know you're singing Mishaberach and doing the Psalm today. So can you sing Mishaberach and can we give the Psalm to Mimi for her birthday? How's that for putting you on the spot? Sorry, I don't think you saw the chat. Fran, I apologize.
Oh, I thought I was supposed to do the psalm.
Yeah, no, two people are doing the Psalm, Sally and Fran. So Fran, you also need to unmute yourself so you can sing the Mishaberach, and which we would love for you to sing.
Okay, you ready for it?
Yeah, wait 1 minute though. Is that okay if Mimi reads the Psalm?
Okay, sure, that's fine.
Thank you. And we should try, unless there's really a lot of openings, to get a variety of people, and unless you have like a real occasion of the day, to try to vary and try not to take two things in one day. And I know, Dina Gordon, you've had problems with your computer. So for today, we're going to have Debbie Lampart read the list of names for the Kaddish, and we'll figure out what we'll do the rest of the week if you're able to do it. Sorry for all of that. And I would have done that in private chat, but I don't think you guys saw my private chats. But Fran, we look forward to hearing you sing Mishaberach for us. So please do pause between the paragraphs so that we can all say the names of our loved ones.
Okay, so you want me to do it today?
Yes, the Mishaberach, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mishaberach Avotenu L'kol habracha Limotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen.
Yochanan ben Sarah, Moshe Yosef ben Miriam, Zisel ben Hannah, Shoshana ben Zisel, Abigail Hai ben Hannah Peso, Yael Matanella, Bat Hannah Peso, Chagai ben Hannah.
Mishaberach imotenu L'kol habracha levotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
Thank you, Fran. Beautiful voice, and thank you for singing the Mishaberach for us. May God hear our prayers. Psalm 94, the Psalm for Wednesday, which Sally and Mimi will be reading responsibly. Sally, you want to take the odds and Mimi take the even. And Sally, you had your site for someone today?
Yes, my son-in-law's father,
And the name of the deceased?
Chaim Ratzon.
Okay. And his memory be a blessing.
Thank you. God of retribution, Adonai, God of retribution, appear.
Judge of the earth, punish the arrogant as they deserve.
How long, Adonai, how long shall the wicked exalt?
Swaggering, boasting, they exude arrogance.
They crush your people, Adonai, and oppress your own.
Widow and strangers they slay, orphans they murder.
They say Adonai does not see. The God of Jacob pays no heed.
Think clearly, you simpletons. When will you fools be wise?
Surely the one who shapes the ear can hear. Surely the one who forms the eye can see.
Surely God, who disciplines nations, will chastise, teaching mortals to understand.
Adonai knows human schemes, how futile they are.
Blessed are those whom God disciplines and teaches Torah.
Training them to wait calmly in adversity until a pit be dug for the wicked.
Adonai will not abandon God's people. God will not forsake God's very own.
Justice will return to the righteous. All the upright in heart will strive for it.
Who will stand up for me against the ungodly? Who will take my part against evil people?
Were it not for Adonai's help, I would be in my grave.
When my foot slips, your loving kindness, Adonai, supports me.
When I am filled with cares, your comfort soothes my soul.
Will the immortal claim you as their partner, defending evil under the mantle of law?
They conspire against the righteous. They condemn the innocent to death.
But Adonai is my refuge. My God is my sheltering rock.
God will turn their evil against them and destroy them with their own guile. Adonai, our God, will destroy them.
And then we have the addition of Psalm
Okay.
95.
Thank God.
That's why we have the addition. It doesn't end so well, 94. So
Let us sing to Adonai. Let us rejoice in our Creator.
Let us greet God with thanksgiving, giving psalms of praise.
Adonai is exalted beyond all that is worshipped.
thank you to Sally and Mimi. And Sally's reaction is exactly why our ancestors and those who created the Psalms of the day decided, you know what, we don't want to end the Psalm 94 on such a negative note. Let's add 95 so we're on a positive, happy note. So that was, Sally, you proved the exact educational point of why we have an addition to that. So I am just curious to, oh, not a simple question, but I'm just curious. Edna, which word?
The English word simpleton, which I read this morning and it really got me, but I don't know the Hebrew well enough to know what the translation from the Hebrew word, because sometimes they're a little fast and loose on the English translation.
Yes, the translations are definitely a commentary. And now I'm looking for which verse it's in. Oh,
Here,
think
8.
clearly. Benu Bo'arim. I would have to look up because that's not a word that I would honestly use or see too
Okay.
often. A bore with a vav is like a well, but I don't think that's what it is. So I never like to make anything up if I really don't know. I will look
Okay,
at some point.
thank
See
you.
if there's an alternative translation to that. But I would think that it's somebody who's just like not that well thinking, like not a smart person, because that's the because Kasilim matai taskilu. Taskil is to be enlightened. Like the Haskalah was the enlightenment. So like when were these people who don't really think going to be enlightened? But I'll look up that word. Thank you. There are a lot of comments. I'm hoping See, I like that comment because I knew it was about something I wanted to get. Okay, so just as an aside, if everyone's wondering why we were all talking about books, it's what I do on my Shabbos lunch with my mother and my mother-in-law, to bring up a subject, because at least in my life, I'm always reading. I have between 10 and 15 books out of the library, and I can finish sometimes 3 a week, depending on what my evening activity is. I love reading, but that was my way of us not talking about the vaccine, because a lot of people can't get the vaccine. Some people don't want to get the vaccine. Some people aren't eligible for the vaccine yet. So it brings up a lot of anxiety for people. So I try to like decrease anxiety. It's kind of like, you know, those topics that you don't talk about in mixed family politics. Okay. So some families don't talk about politics. Some people don't talk about the borders in Israel, things like that. So the vaccination brings up a lot of anxiety in some people, because even if you say that you're eligible, then you can be checking all day long to get an appointment. So hopefully we can talk about other things that are more enjoyable, and hopefully the books you're reading are enjoyable. Just if you're wondering why we're talking about all the books. I just have always loved books. Yesterday I brought up the idea of Pirkei Avot moments. So later, if you can private text me or private chat me and tell me if you've had a Pirkei Avot moment that you could share with all of us, that is something that's shareable, that you can put into a context. It's not like a dissertation or anything like that, but just in case at some point one of us can't teach or we're not available, or maybe it's a nice way to just see how has Pirkei Avot popped up in your life and how have you seen some of these teachings relevant in your life, that I want to give you all an opportunity to talk about that. So if anyone has those ideas, write them down so you don't forget them. And then I hope, I didn't get to talk to Toby and Debbie about this, but hopefully this is okay. An idea to get people to share. Debbie's shaking her head. Yes, I don't know where Toby is. I know she had a great happy birthday thing on. How you can share all that with all of us, how Pirkei Avot has come up in your life. So I just wanted to put that out there, because occasionally my meetings run over and I'm not always positive when I'll be here to teach, but usually I can, but just in case, so we have something in our back pocket. It's like rabbis, if you ever noticed, give us a minute and we can always find something about the Parsha related to what we're talking about. It's something they don't outright teach us, but we learn. So today is Pirkei Avot 3:12. I made the joke yesterday that you can tell the shorter the teaching, the larger the font, because I can get it on one font. So just a few words today, but it is chock full of information. He also used to say, and who's the he? Our rabbi from yesterday, Rabbi Hanina ben Dosa. I'll tell you about him again. I don't expect you to remember his bio from yesterday. What did he teach us today? So yesterday, why we have him again is that sometimes they have series of rabbis together. So some people may have taught all, tomorrow's is about him too. Some people may have taught all three together, but I like to take each day for one. Yesterday, we learned about Chokhmah, wisdom. Today, he continues on that same idea. Yesterday was about Yirat Chet, the fear of sin. Today, it's something else. You'll see. All those whose good deeds exceed their wisdom will endure. But all those whose wisdom exceeds their good deeds, their wisdom will not endure. So you might think it's very similar to what we spoke about yesterday. Yesterday, we spoke about the idea about wisdom versus the fear of sin, and sitting and studying all day and not realizing what it means to be studying and how, and what do you do with that knowledge. Today, we're going to talk about how you take that knowledge, which is a little of what we said yesterday, and put it into action. And what is that action? The Ma'asim Tovim, the good deeds. So who is this Rabbi Hanina ben Dosa? He was a wonder worker, a mystic. He was a student and colleague of Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. He lived in the 1st century of the Common Era in a area in the Lower Galilee called Arav, and he was extremely pious, which is what often distinguished him, and people remembered him. He was very zealous in his observance of mitzvot. So think about that. He's having this discussion about Chokhmah, and he was very ready to do mitzvot. He was widely known for his saintliness, for his efficiency, and his prayer, and that his words worked. So I guess if you really wanted a prayer spoken, he's the one you'd go to. I don't know if I always believe that. I think we could all pray and it has equal amount, but that's just me. Brachot 34b in the Tractate of Brachot, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai compared him to a servant of God who has a steady access to the monarch. So I said that yesterday, that people said he was such a servant of God. He had access to the King of Kings. So if you wanted someone to really say a prayer for you, you went to Rabbi Hanina ben Dosa. So what is this chokhmah, this wisdom that he is referring to? The wisdom now is different than knowledge. You must study to obtain knowledge, but it's that idea I spoke about of the difference between someone who's book smart and someone who's street smart and has seichel, common sense. You can have someone spit you out all the information that they get from a book and have no common sense and not have any idea what's going on in the world. But what we really want is to someone to get the knowledge, to study it, and to be able to see how you can apply it. You need to know the difference between just the knowledge and how it interrelates to life in general. And it distinguishes between, and it draws a distinction where the person can isolate individual facts and figures and how things might stand alone, but then how you see it, how it comes all together in life. So one might be intellectually competent, but they lack genuine wisdom. They just don't get it at times. If you have ever been with someone who's just so smart, but just doesn't get the common sense. So wisdom is also the humility that one has, the humble awareness of our ultimate smallness. If you think about it, what we know is so finite, such a small amount. Think about who apparently, or what, or how you want to describe it, has the most knowledge. God. We could never have the knowledge that God has. And yet at the same time, look at what God gave us and that man and people have created in this world. And I think that one of the things that this Mishnah and one of the future ones teaches us is that with the knowledge we have, we don't have so much. There's so much we can't control. And how true is that in the age of COVID, that we have no knowledge of really what the outcome is? That one person could be on a ventilator and get out of it, and then another one goes in and comes out not again. So wisdom is not in our control, and so many things are not in our control. But what is the person who is wise? Of course, there's many different Pirkei Avot teachings about this. I think Marlene may have taught that on Friday. A wise person is one who has the deep grasp of the human psychology. They can offer proper guidance based on specific needs of those who turn to them. So I think about the idea someone mentioned it yesterday. I was like, oh, I'll bring it up tomorrow. So here's a perfect example of ancient times, not now necessarily, or sometimes there's ways now too that this question, but one of the classics is that a poor person comes to the rabbi to tell them about something that they trafed up in their house, that they made not kosher, which is possibly really horrible. But if you look at the big picture, maybe not so terrible. So a good posek, in my opinion, of putting that judgment of good, a good decider of halakha, of the Jewish law, will see the grand scheme of things. We'll see if I tell this person that it's not kosher, and obviously if it's really not kosher, it's really not kosher. But if there's a safek, if there's a doubt in our mind that it's not kosher and it's going to cause such financial anxiety for someone, such emotional, mental anxiety, if they're never going to eat because of this little non-kosher thing, that's really, if it's a big non-kosher, it's non-kosher. But to really put it all into perspective, to see the big picture of the person saying, if I say this isn't right, what's going to truly happen? And I think we can look at it in the COVID lens here, that some people, it's still hard to turn on the computer on Shabbat. It's very strange. And I have this discussion with my son often because we have family that are not in the conservative movement, that are Orthodox. And he said, can you just imagine? And this is someone who, my little one, really leans more very conservative. Not like he jokes with me one day, he's going to go to Orthodox yeshiva, and I tell him I won't be able to officiate at his wedding and things like that. But he said, but look at it, like how terrible would it be if you don't have this community on Shabbat? you have to have that community. So you have to see the big picture of the spirit of the law and the letter of the law. I'm going a little bit on a diversion. Sorry, I've been studying some Gemara lately, some Talmud, and the rabbis go on diversions, but really to see the big picture is the type of person with wisdom that we want to see. Is it so picayune that you have to be that you can't put on the electricity so that you're all alone all the time on Yom Tov and Shabbos? No. The big picture is to have the community. And that's the type of wisdom that we're talking about here, to have the big picture wisdom of what your decision really means to the whole person. And what he's saying here, Rabbi Hanina, is that this wisdom needs to be complemented by action. And that action is the ma'asim tovim, the good deeds. You can't have wisdom without action. You have to have wisdom and the action. And what is that often? The realm of giving. If you give, you receive at the same time. And by giving and receiving and the actions, it nourishes your soul. That's what these books have to be. It can't just be words. It has to nourish your soul. And think about that in your book groups too. If you can relate to a character in the book or the place, and if it nourishes your soul, if you leave the book still thinking about it, it means a lot. And that's what our teaching should do. It should leave you with thinking that what is this wisdom a means to an end to? What will the end be? And that end is not enough either. We have to have the in-between as well, and then how we can carry it on to another person. How to aspire ourselves to take the best elements of the world and the best elements of ourselves and those we live with and turn them back into a spiritual light. So if your charity and activism, your community involvement, philanthropy gives you a spark in life, that's the important part. And if you can spark that light in somebody else, think of ourselves as the menorah bringing on to other people. And of course, we've had this discussion before in both Pirkei Avot in chapter 1, teaching 17, which is more important, learning or action. And in the teaching in chapter 1, it says learning is not the essential thing, but rather doing. And then 3 different times in Megillah, Baba Kama, and Kiddushin, 3 different tractates, it says study is great when it leads to action. And I've told you my professor who used to never like me telling him that, he wanted me to sit and study all the time. But that wasn't always what people said you should do. You should study to lead to the action, to be able to do something. So one of the things here is, why did this become even a concept between learning and action? And if you think about the development of Judaism and the development of the rabbinic world and the rabbinic Judaism, that it used to be centered around the temple and the sacrifices. But once the temple was destroyed, we didn't have the sacrifices. So we had to have this shift of how we continue revelation. It goes together with our parsha this week of Parshat Yitro, that it used to be that we did everything in the temple, meaning the Beit Mikdash in Israel and Jerusalem, and the korbanot, the sacrifices, and there needed to be a shift from that. And it goes back to what I said earlier of the life we're living in now. We're living now in similar to a post-temple destruction. That, this is what I'm saying, that there's a shift in how we see Judaism and how we live our Judaism because of the reality of COVID. There's been a shift in how we see community. It used to be that you sit around with just the people in your local area, and I'm looking around here and we have people in different time zones across the entire country and sometimes across the world. Next Tuesday, we have the opportunity, one of 3 from Assorti Days of Study, where we can study with women with 5 or 6 different languages from Israel. That the shift in how we study now is different, and who we study with. The shift in how we daven is all different. And we need to think about that and how it's going to be in a post-COVID world, if you can think that far ahead of what it's going to be like, the change in the development. And this Mishnah teaches about that change in development, that we realize not everyone can sit and study all the time, that we need to have people going out and doing things as well. And that sometimes people just plain want to study, Torah Lishma, just want to get their ideas going and their minds going, which is just a wonderful thing too, that study for its own sake. So these 2 Mishnayot that we studied yesterday and today are really about the chokhmah, the wisdom of what you do with that wisdom. Yesterday we spoke about the essence of it. Some of it just might be lishma, for its own sake. Some may that you be learning it so that you could put it into action. And you have to see the reason why you're doing all of it. And I hope that a lot of it is moral development and the moral compass and how it brings us reason to live and reason to help, and that concept that comes up so often of tikkun olam, of repairing the world. So one of the quotes I want to leave you with is Ecclesiastes. The making of many books is without limit, and much study leads to the wearing of the flesh. So what is it saying here? Remember, Ecclesiastes was a little negative at times. So he's saying that books without a limit and study might make the flesh so tired. If you're always just sitting with the books, it's tiring. So you need that action, that maasim. You need to have something that you do with all that learning. And this is what these two Mishnayot over the past 2 days have taught, that the learning with yirat chet, with the fear of sin and why you do it, and humility, and putting that learning into action as well. So any thoughts or comments? Don't be shy. You can unmute yourself. 1 or 2 comments. Debbie Lampert.
It reminds me a little bit maybe what you said earlier about the kosher thing, maybe about shalom bayit, that how much do you have to consider the person in the situation, and if what you're going to do, is it how they're going to take it, how they're going to react, what's really important. It is preserving their feelings or their outlook, and it's having the wisdom to know, not just the knowledge to act, but the wisdom to know.
Exactly. And there's really a difference between it. And it's often like when children, especially I find it with children, they may tell you something and they don't want you to necessarily give feedback. They just want you to listen. And that there's a little bit of that here as well. So Paula raised her hand, and I see Marion too. So Paula Ferguson.
When I was on my journey of self-discovery and preparing to convert, I was in a Reform temple, and my rabbi had been trained largely Orthodox. He told me, he said, if I really wanted to get into more how to keep the house kosher, he told me, call Beryl Sasankin. Well, Sasankin was the rabbi at the Orthodox temple, and I thought to myself, he's under no obligation to talk to me because a lot of times they don't even acknowledge converts. I called him, and he spent 45 minutes on the phone with me, his time, explaining to me. I was concerned because I lived in a teeny tiny apartment and I had 2 burners and I only had 1 pot. And he said, look, he says, I have a ton of kids. They all want to help in the kitchen. They don't know how to do everything correctly. He says, if they make a mistake, we don't burn the house down. He said, you just do what you can do and you move on from there. And if you get the opportunity that you can have a bigger kitchen and more pots and pans, and then you go on to the next step. But for now, you just do what you can do. And it made it so welcoming for me that by the time I did have a husband and an apartment and a lot of pots and pans, it wasn't hard.
I like that story. Also, I want to add one thing that maybe others noticed too, that it also teaches you not to have preconceived notions about people, that you may have thought that he was going to say one thing and he didn't.
Right.
So really, and there's a way to balance life. It's not all or nothing, and it's not a preconceived, oh my God, they're not going to listen to me. But he gave you some very good advice. So Marion. Do you know how to unmute? Okay, good. Oh, sorry.
I just find that with all our talking, I don't know whether we've mentioned how hurtful wisdom can be. I find that there are people that I know that they know everything, no matter, and they'll interrupt you to tell you that you're wrong. And I find that those people, with all their wisdom and all their studying and their learning, it's really hurtful. And I don't think it goes in the same way that we talk about loving kindness. There's a time to keep your mouth shut and just say, fine, whatever you're saying. Oh, that's another way of looking at it, which I think are smart people. But when they try to impose their wisdom on you, or they won't, whatever they say is your way or the highway. It's really very hurtful, and wisdom can be extremely hurtful.
A very, very wise comment. That's one of the reasons why I have to say, speaking about COVID and the vaccine is so painful at times, because everyone thinks they know the answer. Oh, you should call this place and you'll be able to get it. Who knows if you're going to be able to get it? So, Marion, thank you for that. And Sandy Barenbaum, I see, has her hand up. I did say we're going to finish, but Sandy.
What Marion said is so true, because you may have a lot of wisdom, but that doesn't mean that you have a lot of common sense.
Right.
Which goes back to our teaching yesterday.
Yes, very, very true. And there's times when you want to give your wisdom, but it's insulting to the person. So you could tell that part of my life is reading, Pirkei Avot, studying, and Peloton. So one of the things they say on Peloton is the true queen is someone who can straighten someone else's crown without everyone else knowing it was crooked. And that's some of the part. Amy, have you heard that one? Amy Schwartz? No? Okay. I don't even remember which one said it, but where you can correct someone, or you can give them your information without insulting them, without putting them down, without everyone else knowing that you're trying to do that. And that's part of the common sense and the chokhmah as well, which it's a learned skill, and it's also a learned way of when to do it and when to say it. So always some food for thought. If you want to personally write to me and tell me if you have any Pirkei Avot moments where like some of the teaching has popped up and you'd want to share with people, please do. So at this time, I'm going to find out from Debbie and Dina who's reading the list today, and whoever is, you can begin.
Dina, were you able to open the list?
I'll take that as a no, if you want, Debbie.
All right. Just want to give her the chance.
Okay.
But I don't see her on my screen. Maybe she's moved. All right. We lovingly remember today Evelyn Seelig, Sue Press, Leona Elligberg, Dolores Megan, Phyllis Haas, David Copland, Ivans Stanton, Hilda Stern, Sylvia Kraus, Hope Dellen, Herb Lubars, Hannah Bat Shimon Vakarline, Ellen Babbitt, Theodore Fishman, Michael Barr, Richard Merrick, Lillian Tobias, Doris Hildebrandt, Ruth Lewis Bloomfield, Michael Klingbaum, Shirley Shapiro, Carol Hope Taub, David Levy, Phyllis Grusin Weinstein, Robert Mailer, Sandy Levine, Officer Brian Sicknick, Ed Jokowitz, Sandy Aroni, Sandra Silberman, Selma Jarrell, Yvette Caitlin, Rabbi Michael Kane, Marvin Fish, Oscar Warnick, Ilana Finkelstein, Bernice Albert, Toby Case, Harry Polikow, Irene Kosman, Marilyn Cheskis Lear, Madison Woost, Ernstine Loeb Hamel Erkin, Shelley Bearer, Miriam Clow, Effie Pollock, Arnie Levinson, Marla Goldberg, Barbara Roth Roberts, Rebecca Silverman, Saul Fishman, Davida Shipkowitz, Irv Shapiro, Ike Cohn, Rabbi Dr. Abraham Tversky, Rabbi Stephen Lerner, Amy Seltzer Perlman, Michael Schrank, and Chaim Ratzon. May their memories be for a blessing. Yehi zichronam livracha.
Thank you, Debbie. And if anyone has any other names of loved ones to add for a yahrzeit today or a recent passing, please unmute yourself and verbally say the names at this time. As well, please, if you're going to be reciting the Mourner's Kaddish, please rise and unmute yourself, and also unmute yourself if you'll be responding. Amen. As we'll begin together. Yitkadal,
Yisgadal,
Yitzchak,
Yiskadash,
May,
Shmei
Rabba,
Rabba,
Yalma, Dibra,
Thuro,
Rute,
Say,
Yamli,
Yamli,
Malchut,
Malchute,
Mechayevon,
Chayachon,
Uviyomechon,
Yomechon,
Aye,
Aye,
Yechol,
Beit
Yisrael,
Yisrael,
Agala,
Agala, Vizman, Kariv, Imru, Amen.
Yehi,
Yehi, Shmei, Rabba, Nivara,
May,
Maya. Yes, Barach, yes, Taba, yes, Hora, yes, Raman, yes, Nase, yes, Hadar, yes, Halel, yes, Halal, Shmei, Shashar, Rihu, Lelo, Min, Kol, Ir, Chaso, Shiraso, Tuveshasa, Nechemaso, Amiran, Mo, Imru, Amen. Yehi, Mo, Rabo, Min, Shemaiah, Echaim, Alenu, Avol, Israel, Imru, Amen. Ose Shalom, Imramav, Hu, Ya'aseh Shalom, Alenu, Bial Yisrael, Imru, Amen.
all of our loved ones continue to be a blessing as we remember them. So I want to thank Edna for asking her question earlier. I know some people have answered it. I looked up in my Evan Shoshan, I think it's the Evan Shoshan. No, the Alkali, sorry. My Alkali dictionary, Ba'ar, Bet Ayin Resh, means someone stupid, ignorant, empty-headed, or stupidity. So that's the translation of a simpleton is right. Nope, Rita's shaking her head about something.
Saying it's not nice.
No, it isn't. It definitely isn't. And when somebody else translated it, which I think is right, I thought it sounded like a bore. And it's kind of funny that bore and ba'ar, it's the Hebrew and the English sound very similar. But I always like those questions. So thank you, Edna, for bringing that up.
You know, ignorant can be somebody who can be enlightened. They just don't know. But to say they're stupid, or
right.
What were some of the other ones? I mean, that's kind of saying even if you try to teach them, they're not going to get it.
Right. And a simple person is different than that. They just.
My translation called it brutish.
Brutish. Wow. So
and at times ignorance can be bliss.
Yeah, it's true. It's very true. So it's a good example, again, to show that translation is often commentary. And like Onkelos is an Aramaic translation that many people study weekly for the Parsha, because it's a translation that you have commentary on as they translate it into Aramaic. So just think, we don't only learn Pirkei Avot during this time. There's so many other different things that we do together. So it's wonderful to be in this place of Makom B'Yachad. Debbie.
Wow, wise words, Rita. Very wise. So I wanted to share a lot of events with you that are happening this week. As I like to say, Women's League is alive and well, and boy, are we alive and well. You should see what's coming up. Today's Wednesday. On Friday, we are working with Sharsheret and on a program Friday, this February 5th at 12:30 East Coast time. It's called Shalom Shabbat, and come enjoy music, insights, and inspiration for the week ahead. I have to say that it's amazing. Sharsheret is going to present this in partnership with Women's League and the Women of Reform Judaism. It's a wonderful program. It's on the Women's League week, and you can register for that, and it'll give you an opportunity to sort of go nicely into Shabbat. On Sunday, We are working with Federation of Men's Clubs for the worldwide wrap, as we have done many, many years previously. And that happens at 9:30 on the East Coast, and I'm sure it's 9:30 in Central and Mountain and the West Coast. And there's a huge program that's happening on Sunday morning at 9:30 East Coast. All of the synagogues and the congregations will be doing their worldwide wrap either before it or after it, depending on where you are in the time zones. But at 9:30 East Coast, there's a program with Rabbi Jacob Blumenthal, who's the CEO of the Rabbinical Assembly and United Synagogue, and our own Rabbi Ellen Wallens-Fields is moderating. No, she's teaching. That's right. She's teaching about how to wear tefillin and the purpose, right? The meaning of tefillin. Is that what you're teaching, Rabbi?
So one of the rabbis from Park Avenue Synagogue is moderating, and Rabbi Blumenthal and I are speaking about the importance of tefillin to each of us. And I'm taking a lot about how women are wearing tefillin today and the next generation wearing as well.
Great. So we're going to catch that on Sunday morning. And again, that also will be on Women's League Week, and you can register for that. And the last thing I want to talk about is Monday night, February 8th at 7:30 East Coast time. Corey Schneider, past president of Women's League, is doing a program on how to live forever, sharing your story with future generations. It's going to be a great program, and she's the Women's League Archives Chair, and she's going to share her journey where she's the self-designated family historian and how you can do that with your family. So again, that's a registration. It's on Women's League Week. We have lots of things going on, and I just wanted to share all of those with you. Everything's on Women's League Week, which came out Monday night. There's a separate email going out. I don't know, Rachel, tonight, it may have already gone out, or it's in the process of going out with all of those events on it, so you can register for them. And we're looking forward to seeing you participating in all of those events. As is our custom, I know we have some new people on today, and I always like to welcome them. The group likes to welcome them. And so if you, I think we have 2 or 3 actually, people that I've not seen before. And so if you would like to unmute, take yourself off mute and introduce yourself, tell us who you are, or maybe not. Okay. No? Okay. I'm looking for Andrea Heiger. Is she still on?
Hi, I'm here.
Andrea's here?
Yes, I've been on a week, and I'm spotty here and there, and I really enjoy it.
And
thank you very much.
Andrea,
Yes.
we're so happy to have you, but I have a shout out for you. Thank you so much for making a donation in honor of the Pacific Southwest Study Day.
Sure.
It was lovely that you did that, and we're so happy to have you with us. And it's really nice that you made a donation on a lovely day like that. So thank you for doing that.
Thank you. It was a
And
wonderful
welcome.
program.
Great. Welcome. We hope you'll come back. Okay. I think I saw one more new person. Okay. All right. Maybe next time. Okay. It's been wonderful to be together as always. Thank you, Rabbi, for great teaching, and happy birthday, Mimi. And thank you to everyone else who participated. Fran, great singing. And we'll see you tomorrow.
You all come back now, you hear?
Thank you, Sally, for stepping
Will
in
do.
for Audrey. She's not with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody.
Thank you.